Welcome to Vivekananda Yoga Research Foundation. We now start on Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the science of emotions culture. To deal with our emotions is a very important thing, because in the whole of our education system there is no component to deal with emotions. To gain mastery over the emotions is the goal of Bhakti Yoga, and it is a very vital part, because the youngsters today get stuck with emotions, get lost into emotional outbursts. They get terribly angry, they get upset, they get depressed, and it has become a very common feature. They are tossed up and down in emotional exuberances, and they don't know how to deal with these emotions. When they encounter problems, demanding situations and challenges, they get lost and even go to commit suicide. Why? Because the whole of our education system is development of the left brain, development of the intellect, analytical power, discrimination power, cramming up the brain with information, and hardly we give emphasis on development of emotions. We develop the head and not the heart, as we say. Therefore, the relevance of handling the emotions, gaining mastery over the emotions is very vital, and Bhakti Yoga provides a very systematic, scientific approach to deal with our emotions. We have chosen 18 verses from Bhagavad Gita. We call it as Bhakti Yoga, Shloka Sangraha, and they have been arranged into these 8 different phases. Verse number 1 gives introduction after the prayer. Then verse 2 to 7 give us a way by which we can move from gross carnal desires to the good friendship, prema to bhakti. Then fructification of bhakti through saguna sakshatkara, described in 8 to 13. 14th verse talks about nirguna sakshatkara, which leads to parabhakti. What happens to such a person at the time of death is described in 16, and the ultimate merger has been described in the last 2 verses, 17th and 18th. And let us look at the schematic, which gives a dimension of the whole of Bhakti Yoga. To begin with, we start with the 2 major traits which is available in all of us, the Asuri Sampat and Daivi Sampat, the demonic vices and the godly virtues. And Bhakti Yoga says we start transforming ourselves to Daivi Sampat. How do we do that? The gross carnal desires called kama has to be transformed into prema, the real friendship, through sacrifice, and prema has to be elevated to the level of bhakti through surrender, prapatti, and that leads us to the sakshatkara, that is the saguna samadhi. And various types of samadhi, going deeper and deeper into the advanced Bhakti Yoga, ultimately reaches to the nirguna or the nirvikalpa samadhi, and at the time of death he leaves his body voluntarily to enter into moksha, the total silence, the abode of all bliss, knowledge, freedom and creativity. Let us start with the prayer. Vasudeva sutam devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishna, the godly son of Vasudeva and Devaki, bringing immense bliss unto her. He is the slayer of Chanura and the Kansa, the biggest of the terrorist kings who propagated adharma in the whole society, And Krishna, he is the guru of the whole creation because he only embodies and symbolizes the cosmic forces of sustenance in the whole universe. And by offering our worship, what happens? Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat krupatamaham vande paramanandasmadhavam. We offer our salutations to that Madhava, the source of supreme bliss, another name of supreme bliss or pure reality, whose grace makes the dumb eloquent and the cripple cross mountains, and that is the grandeur. A dumb becomes a great orator, a lame climbs up the Himalayan peaks. Such is the power of his grace. The great power within us, the immense reality that we have, and that can be achieved through our salutations. What is salutations? Salutations is to tune ourselves, to resonate ourselves with the consciousness of Krishna, that is the deepest level of consciousness, very near to our source. Having said that, now Krishna introduces the subject in his own characteristic style, saying that there are 4 types of people who start moving towards me. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janas sukrutinarjuna arto jignasurartharthi gnani cha bharatarshabha. Says the man in distress, the man seeking knowledge, the man seeking wealth, and the man imbued with wisdom, all these people try to reach me. Artha, he is a person who is in great distress. Jignasu, a person with great curiosity. Artharthi, he wants to convert everything into a business. And Gnani, person in real search for reality. These are the 4 types of people, Krishna says, who start worshipping me, who starts moving towards the inner realms of spirituality, inner realms of the deeper levels of consciousness. All of us know when we are in great distress, I am suffering from cancer, I am suffering from various types of diseases, and I say, oh Lord, please save me. Whether it is the Christ or whether it is the Krishna, it is that agony, the pain and the misery which makes us move towards our inner source, towards the God for help we call, and that is the Artata, the first level of people. But the second level, they are called Jignasus. The Jignasu is the person who has curiosity, and just like a child, the child when he is being carried by the parents, it looks at different things. Oh, what is this? What is this? What is this? In that level of curiosity. Similarly, when people come here, a large number of people have started going to yoga classes, to the health club. Okay, let me also try yoga. What is this yoga? So many people come here to Prashanti Kutiram, hundreds of them, and let me go and see what is happening there. Curiosity, curiosity oriented. That's called the Jignasu. And the third is an Artharthi, is a businessman. Nowadays, there is even recession in the IT, and everywhere people have started taking to the practice of yoga. Can I not make yoga as a good business and start investing? And beautiful buildings, and along with the health clubs, you start adding the yoga, and all aspects of yoga being converted as an effective business. The goal is to get more money. And the 4th type of person, that is a Gnani. A Gnani is a person who has real desire to search for the reality, to search for the inner source, and such a Gnani goes deep in search and starts unraveling the mysteries. These are the 4 types of people who take to the path of yoga, who take to the path of spirituality. And Krishna says, doesn't matter. All these people are sukrutinaha. All these people are fortunate ones, because other people do not come at all. Whatever may be the purpose, doesn't matter. That they are coming into this path itself is a wonderful thing that happens, and gradually they may start changing their objectives. Once they come to know about what is happening, then their whole perspective is going to change. When they come and hear that yoga is a way of life, it is a way of immense joy and happiness and bliss, then they will get attracted. When they understand that it is a process of raising ourselves from our selfish, self-centered personality to a selfless personality, probably their business attitude will change, and they will start rising higher, coming into the higher dimensions. Their values may change. At present the value may be only to get money, how to make this as an effective business, a profitable business, and that may change, and they will say, yes, I am genuinely interested to go into the higher life, a life of greater bliss, happiness, harmony and health, rather than just accumulating only the money and money. Their values may change. So Krishna says, all these are fortunate ones, don't worry, let them come and take to this dimension. Then he identifies two personality traits in all of us. One is our higher virtues, the godly virtues, and the other one is the demonic vices. What are they? One is the negative, another is the positive in a sense. One is violent, another is softer and well cultured. What are they? He now describes Tejakshama dhruti shaucham adroho nati manitam bhavanti sampadam daivim abhijatasya bharatam. Absence of pride, the development of vigor, vitality, forgiveness, fortitude, purity, absence of hatred, all these belong to the category of divine state. They are the godly virtues, and we have to recognize these godly virtues inherently present in us. Everyone has both the things, both the Rakshasi guna, both the demonic vices and the godly virtues, the Daivi Sampat and the Asuri Sampat, both exist in every one of us. But we have to first recognize. And what are those things? He says the 6 aspects of the divine qualities, and these are only examples of what one could get as the divine things. They bring us elevation. Brightness, dynamism, Kshama is forgiveness, Dhruti, steadfastness, Shaucham is purity, Adroha is non-cheating, no corruption, Natimanisa, not showing off too much. These are the qualities of the divine ones. What about the demonic ones? Dambo, Darpo, Bhimanascha, Krodha, Parushyameva, Ajnanancha, Bhijatasya, Partha Sampadamasurim. Arrogance, ostentation, self-conceit, anger and harshness and even ignorance belong to the one who is born for a demonic state. O Arjuna, please start recognizing this. The 6 demonic vices and have been beautifully enumerated here: Dambha, Darpa, Abhimana, Krodha, Parushya, Ajnana. And the important thing is we have to recognize these 2 dimensions, and every one of us is permutation and combinations of these 2 basic traits in us. And Dambha, what is that Dambha? Ostentation, ego. And this is a very, very intricate thing. He is a philanthropist, a person of dharma, but yet that ego comes over. Yes, I am such a great person who is doing dharma. I am such a great person, I am a big philanthropist. That dambha is the ego there. What is darpa? Darpa is arrogance, another form of ego. Arrogance of education, wealth and public awards. I am such an educated person, I have a doctorate and I have such a wonderful palatial building, I have become a millionaire and so many people have given me big public awards, so I have become very, very egoistic. That is the arrogance. Then abhimana, another form of ego, self-conceit, and that I am worth a great deal is put forth there. So, various forms of ego, and all these are belittling us, they are constricting us, they are therefore classed as the asuri sampat. Now, what is the role of this daivi sampat and asuri sampat? Krishna tells in the next verse, Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya suri mata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandavam. The divine nature is deemed for liberation, total freedom and reaching that state of highest bliss and knowledge, while the demonic vices are making us deteriorate, go down the ladder, and it brings us greater and greater bondage. And therefore, O Arjuna, grieve not, you are born of a divine state, you are born of the daivi sampat. Many of us are born with these traits. Maybe there is more of the asuri sampat, there is more of the violent vices, while some people have inclination to do good things. These are the born traits. This is what we have to recognize. Therefore, the daivi sampat and the asuri sampat are the two traits with which we are all born. But at the same time, along with these tendencies which are the born traits, we also have been given that freedom, the freedom to change, and that freedom can be used to make ourselves grow or deteriorate. I have the freedom either to become more and more demonic, go on using the demonic vices in my life and deteriorate, go down the ladder, or I can start using the daivi sampat, start promoting the goodness in me, and I have the freedom to do that. I can make or mar myself. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda said, man is the maker of his own destiny, and we have that freedom to make or mar ourselves. And what is that freedom? That freedom is the intelligence in us, a discrimination power within us, and it is the buddhi. It is the creative, intelligent process. And all that creativity, all that intelligence, all that discrimination power can be used to systematically go down or systematically go up. It is in our hands. I can start suffering from various types of tensions and stresses and agonies and miseries, or I can live a very, very healthy life of harmony, bliss and growth and purity. Man is the maker of his own destiny. We can make ourselves or mar ourselves. And therefore, Krishna says the journey begins, the real pilgrimage starts when I decide that I am going to grow by developing my daivi sampat. I start developing virtues after virtues and systematically lessen my violent tendencies. When I determine, when I make a resolve, when I take a sankalpa, then the real journey starts, yoga starts then. Then the bhakti yoga begins. Then Krishna says, what should be done now? Having decided, Mayyeva manadhat swam, Mayi buddhim niveshayam, Nivasishyasi mayyeva, Atavurdham na sanshayaham. Fix your mind on me, let your thoughts dwell in me, you will hereafter live in me alone. Of this there is no doubt, says. So this is where the whole Bhakti Yoga starts. Now you start looking at your emotions, the bad emotions and the good emotions, and you have determined, I am going to change myself, I am going to completely change my software inside to see that I install the latest. The latest is one of growth, the positive emotions or cultured emotions, and having decided that what is to be done, I keep my mind aware of this continuously, and we need to understand what are emotions. An understanding of what are emotions in contrast to thinking will give us a lead to go deeper. So let us understand what are emotions and how do they manifest initially at the body level, the grossest. Modern medical world has understood this in great depth, and it is called as the emotional reaction at the body level. Whatever may be the type or the cause of these emotions or the stress, it could be the physical cause, the mental cause, intellectual cause. What happens in the body is the same. The higher centers of the brain are triggered and they bring about an imbalance in the autonomic nervous system and an imbalance in the endocrine system. And these imbalances at the nervous front and the endocrine front will bring about series of changes all over the body, and that is called the emotional reaction or the stress reaction. The imbalances in the autonomic nervous system are essentially electrical in nature, while the changes in the endocrine system are chemical in nature. The hormones get secreted, and therefore the emotions bring about a change in the complete body, while the thinking is temporary, it goes only in the brain region. And because it goes all through the body, probably the emotions are more long lasting than just mere thinking. And these reactions all over the body are created by the imbalances of the nervous system and the endocrine system, and bring about the changes in thinking as well as in our emotions. And let us look at the concept of emotions according to the modern medical world and according to the yoga and spiritual lore. As we saw, the modern medical world deals with complete body, what happens in different parts of the body, how the endocrine system brings about the stress hormones, the adrenaline, growth hormones, and how these hormones brings about a complete change in the body. The heartbeat starts increasing, the respiration increases, the muscles start becoming stiff. Why all these things happen? It is because as a reaction, the whole system changes. For example, you have a emotion of fear, you encounter a situation in which there is fire alarm ringing in your hall. What happens? You need a lot of energy. And how do you get energy? The body should supply more sugar and more oxygen, and the reaction should take place, and thereby you get the energy. This is exactly what happens. And this is accomplished by an imbalance in the autonomic nervous system with a sympathetic dominance and an endocrine imbalance with excessive secretion of the stress hormones. And these stress hormones build lot of sugar into the bloodstream, and the sympathetic stimulation increases the sugar level in the blood. Both are complementary, and the breathing rate increases, the bronchus dilates, therefore more oxygen comes into the whole system, and oxygen and sugar are available now, and these things have to be carried to every cell site in the body. How is it done? Your heart starts beating faster and faster, there is an increased breathing rate, increased heartbeat, and the blood pressure goes up, and the blood carries the whole nutrients and the oxygen to every cell site. Then you have the energy produced in the cell. Then you have to run, and for running you need your muscles tight and stiff. That's what happens. the muscle tone increases, and you run to safety, you are far away from the building, and you look at the whole system, there is complete return to the normalcy. This is a beautiful mechanism built into our system. It is a protective reflex, and in that process, when there is a sympathetic dominance, there is an endocrine imbalance, then all the senses also get heightened, and at the conclusion all the senses will droop down, eyes will come down, the body will be relaxed, heartbeat is going to reduce. This is the parasympathetic dominance normally. This entire mechanism has studied in great detail and great depth and has been understood vividly, very clearly. Irrespective of whatever may be the type of stress, whatever may be the type of emotions, whether it is fear, whether it is greed, whether it is excitement, whether it is the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, whether it is the jealousy, the subtle things, or the intellectual conflicts, whatever may be the cause, what happens in the physical body is same, and that is the speciality. Therefore, the modern medical world has understood the whole thing in the body, the Annamaya Kosha. If that is the concept of emotions, according to modern medical science, then there was further growth in our understanding. There are specialized emotional sciences in the brain, and when these emotional cells are triggered, then you get different emotions, and those emotions will trigger the neocortex. Neocortex in turn bring about the changes in the autonomic nervous system and also in the endocrine system. All that has been understood. And where are these emotional centers? They have been precisely located in the brain anatomy, and triggering these emotional cells will raise you to anger, or can create a sexual disharmony, or can make you totally depressed, or can you make very calm and quiet and tranquil. They have been beautifully understood, the emotional centers in the brain, and this is how we have understood emotions at the body level completely, starting from the higher centers of the brain, emotional centers, neocortex, the whole nervous and the endocrine systems. If that is the understanding, what about the understanding of emotions? What is the difference between emotions and thinking according to yoga and spiritual lore? We go back to Bhagavad Gita again. In Bhagavad Gita there is a beautiful verse which gives the whole perspectives of the difference between thinking and emotions. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho bhijayate krodhat bhavati sammohaha sammohat smruti vibhramaha smruti bhramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. Repeated thinking builds attachments, attachments lead to the raga and dvesha and will bring in anger, and if the anger brings infatuation, you are lost with discrimination power, the memory loss occurs and you are lost. This is the whole generation of emotions. So, in this very beautifully the whole system is being understood, that the attractions and repulsions are caused, the attachments are caused by repeated thinking. It is the repeated thinking that power up the thoughts, and the thoughts lead to the emotions and bring anger, greed, jealousy, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the 6 enemies of man, which are all considered to be the violent emotions, in contrast to the cultured emotions, which are the daivi sampad. These 6 enemies of man are the ones which are hazardous, which have to be dealt with very effectively. Therefore, according to yoga and spiritual lore, emotions and thinking are not different. In fact, emotions are powered up thoughts, When you start intensifying the thoughts, when you pack the thoughts with energy, the thoughts become emotions. And how do you power up the thoughts? By repeated thinking. And that repeated thinking will energize, and it is energized thoughts that we call as emotions. And therefore, there is an innate connection between emotions and thinking, and emotions are power thoughts, we can call. And this all occurs in the Manomaya Kosha, in our astral system, and slowly percolates down to the Pranamaya Kosha, then comes to the physical body, and it is in the physical body it starts triggering the higher centers of the brain, either the emotional centers, and from there it enters into the neocortex and comes down to the hypothalamus, which in turn stimulates all the changes in the endocrine and the autonomic nervous system and brings a series of changes throughout the body. And therefore, what yoga and spiritual lore tells us is that whatever happens in the physical body is very well understood, it is fine, but where do these emotions start? They are in the Manomaya Kosha. And these Manomaya Kosha, in which the thoughts start getting repeatedly triggered, energized, will bring about an imbalance in the Pranamaya Kosha, which in turn bring the imbalance in the physical body. And that is the whole mechanism that is understood. Therefore, contained in this total understanding, it becomes more necessary that not only we deal with the body, but deal with the prana and deal with the emotions at the Manomaya Kosha level. And see that our Vijnanamaya Kosha, the objectivity, the thinking and the discrimination power will dominate the scene and will take us in the right direction. Often we are lost because in the Manomaya Kosha it becomes a very powerful emotion and our actions start getting governed by these emotions rather than what is right and what is wrong. We know in the heart of hearts what we are doing is wrong, but still we do that, and this is called Duryodhana within us. Duryodhana is not just an epic character in Mahabharata, but it is a personality trait within us. And what is the speciality of this Duryodhana personality? Janami dharmam na cha me pravrittihi, janami adharmam na cha me nivrittihi. I know what is right, but I don't do right things. I know what is wrong. Invariably, I do wrong things. Why? I get enslaved to these wrong things, violent emotions, and I get lost. So, the power emotions, the power thoughts have this capacity to enslave us and take us into the wrong path, while the cultured emotions elevate us, and that is powered by the higher jnana, the higher intellect, that is the Vijnanamaya Kosha that is being talked about here. And by following that, we go into the Anandamaya Kosha for immense bliss. So, the whole of science of emotion culture is not to descend down, but to elevate ourselves to reach that Anandamaya Kosha. That is the whole thing. So, when the likes and dislikes start dominating the scene, our actions go against what is right. The doctors have told, my dear, now you have got diabetes and your sugar levels have started going up, but I know you are very fond of your gulab jamun, and unless you stop eating sweets like this, your sugar levels will still shoot up and you have to take more and more insulin. I therefore suggest, please stop the jamun and all the sweets. I tell, okay, I will do that. Then you come back after 3 days, there is a big party, there is a big festival, and lots of sweets have been lined up. What happens? As soon as you look at, the senses start pulling you out into the sense objects, and there is a big war that starts, and this is the Kurukshetra war. Our senses and the tongue demanding us, come on, go and eat, and your discrimination power is telling, no, don't eat it, don't. You are suffering from diabetes, the doctor's advice. That is the Kurukshetra war. And what wins matters. If you tell to yourself, okay, let me eat this sweet, after all what is going to happen, let me go and have one more tablet of diabetes or have a prick of insulin. No, after all, the doctors also have to survive. If you say that, you have gone against the cosmic law, you have been dominated by the emotions, and that is the Duryodhana character talked about in Mahabharata. That we succumb to the emotions, we get enslaved to the emotions and get lost. The sense attractions, which are very, very powerful, they enslave us. But how to use it? We can use that to overcome the tamas. This is the yoga way of doing it. When you have these violent emotions, use them to overcome our tamas. Show all the incentives and others, and that starts bringing us the mastery over the emotions. So therefore, using our discrimination power, we start growing. But there was a powerful thinking. It says that never try to control your emotions, because if you try to control your emotions, you will get into suppression. The suppression may lead into boomerang effect, and you may suffer from large number of different ailments. And therefore, what is to be done? Give free vent to the emotions, never try to control. Controlling the emotions may lead to suppressions, and that may lead to boomerang effect in the form of stress ailment. And therefore, what is to be done? Sigmund Freud said, please do not suppress, give free vent. Day in and out, the doctor was getting large number of people suffering from mental ailments, neurotics and psychotics and whatnot, people going into deep depression, unable to come out. He found one single cause in all these people, that there was a suppression of the emotions, probably due to the customs, manners, habits, superstitions, and the social pressures in which we live today. They were all suppressing, I should not do that, I should not do that, I should not do that. Therefore, he said, no, never try to control the emotions, give free vent to them. And that's how the freedom became the watchword, which became the basis of the society in the United States. But what has happened? Where has this freedom led us? It has led us to license and to all sorts of hazards of the modern developed society, and it has led into student unrest, the alcohol, the sex and the drugs and the terror, and the family divorces on the ascent, large number of psychosomatic ailments and psychiatric problems. The social harmony has been disrupted. In spite of all the riches and wealth and comforts, the agony of stress is blazing up by wildfire, and increased pain and misery have all come up. The stress hazards have come up in a very, very big way, and they have started becoming long-standing imbalances, which are leading to various types of ailments, bronchial asthma, headache, back pain, arthritis, diabetes, hypertension, ischemic heart diseases, cancer, epilepsy, gastrointestinal disorders, obesity, chronic fatigue syndrome, and whatnot. The stress ailments have started becoming the common ailments in the modern society. Why? If it was true that we are suppressing and giving free vent to the emotions would lead us to a harmonious society, if that was the real solution, the society which should have gone into a wonderful society of ideal living, of harmony, health and bliss. But on the other hand, it has a big devastating effect that has come. The stresses have started blazing up like wildfire, and all the ailments. Why did that happen? On one front, Freud was right that if you try to suppress the emotions, it will have a boomerang effect. You suffer from various ailments. But the solution he offered was no solution, because giving free vent to the emotions also turned itself into license, and that's how we could not get the answer. Therefore, why? Why is it that the American society has gone this? If freedom was the real solution, it would have given. Now, look at the analysis of yoga in this direction. It says that when you try to satiate the sense demands with the sense objects, then what is going to happen? Yes, no doubt you get the sense pressure, but that sense pressure will have a feedback to increase the sense demand, and again the sense gratification will feed back, and your sense demands go on increasing and increasing and increasing, and it will never get satiated. And therefore, it is something like quenching fire with ghee. The fire is coming up and you put the putrefied butter into it with the hope that you are going to quench the fire. Can it happen? Similarly, the senses are outpouring themselves, trying to get the objects they want, and if you give the objects to the senses, then the demand of the senses will increase. You have a nice beautiful car and you are seeing the car is giving a very good effective service, but the desires come, let me have the latest car, latest model car, and you work for it, and by September, October, when the new model car comes, you lose a lot of money and give out this car and have a new latest model car. And what happens? In a few days, all your thrill and excitement will go away, and now you look for a bigger car, maybe a higher value car, like maybe Mercedes, if not a Rolls Royce. It goes on and on, on and on. You got a nice house, a very comfortable house with 3 bedrooms, and now you want to go for a big palatial building with 5 rooms. And we never ask whether really it is a necessity. Myself, my wife, and 2 of my children, well, 3 rooms are adequate. Why should I go for a 5-room house? And this goes on and on, and the senses never get satisfied. And yoga says that this is the order, this is the law of the senses. The more you try to satiate the senses with the sense pleasures, by the sense objects, the demand of the senses is going to increase, and it is like the ghee being poured into fire, and the fire will blaze up more and more. Now then, what is the way out? Now here we have a big challenge. On one front, if you try to control the emotions, you get into suppression, which in turn will lead to large number of modern ailments and the hazards that we saw of psychosomatic ailments and so on, which Freud was noticing. On the other hand, if you give free vent to the emotions and allow the emotions to go, it turns itself into license, it leads to the hazards of the modern society, and therefore, what is the way out? If you try to control, there is a boomerang effect. If you give free vent, it is no solution. And that is where the modern society is totally lost. It is here that yoga, the Bhakti Yoga, gives us the right solution. It says that the way out is sublimation of desires and not suppression, nor is it giving free vent. And sublimation, suppression, what is the difference between the two? You have used only a word, sublimation. What does it mean? Sublimation is to slow down. The energies are coming up, and suppression is just to block the energies. As soon as you remove the block, there is going to be an outburst of all the energies. On the other hand, if you give free vent, the demand will increase and you want more and more. Sublimation says you must learn the art of energy management. You must understand how to slow down the energy outbursts that are coming up. The energy that you are generating in the form of emotions, the senses rushing towards the sense objects, now has to be calmed down, has to be slowed down, has to be controlled. The energy that are being oozing out has to be reduced, and you must gain control and mastery over the energy production, and that is the whole solution called sublimation. Sublimation is to slow down. Sublimation is to calm down, slow down all your reaction. And I always give an example of a novice driver and an expert driver. A novice driver is driving very fast and overtaking all others with an excessive speed of 90 kilometers, 100 kilometers an hour, and as he is going like this, breaking almost all the traffic rules, he sees the red light on there, trying to say stop, and this fellow is hopeful by the time I reach that red it is going to turn green, and is not reducing the speed, and as he reaches the red, hardly a few more yards left, then he finds there is a big police inspector there trying to catch him, and he jams the brake. The whole car comes to a grinding halt. Everybody sitting in the car are shaken up, and they curse, what a type of driver. Now look at a master driver. He is also going at a high speed of 100 kilometers, overtaking, but as soon as he sees the red, he decelerates, comes down to 70 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 30, 20, and slowly comes to a soft halt. Nobody in the car sees this deceleration, and again when the red turns green, he accelerates and grows. That is the difference between a master driver and a novice. A novice has no control on himself and on the car, and this is what happens to us in our emotions. A novice as we are, we have not been trained, we have not become masters. As a result, when we get the emotions, we try to block it. No, 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 that is a suppression, and it's going to have a boomerang effect. What is to be done? You slow down, decelerate, decelerate, decelerate. The excessive energies that are outpouring through the emotions now had to be reduced, and that is the process of slowing down. Slow down all our reactions is the key factor of sublimation. Eat slowly and think slowly and clearly, walk slowly, talk slowly, and as Swami Chinmayananda said, hasten slowly. Do not react but act. Slow down all your reactions. That is the whole essence of sublimation. That we are in such a rush, we don't have time even to eat, and we have developed the buffet system. You go there and gulp in as fast as possible and then run to the work. This has become the order of the day. This has become the high-tech era in which everything goes faster and faster and faster, and this has led to immense emotional outbursts, and we react very strongly. A small change, a small suggestion which may just touch your ego, immediately you burst with anger, you burst with grief, and there is a collapse in the share market, and you feel that the whole life is gone, and you are prepared to commit a suicide. Tremendous reactions. Yoga says, do not violently react, don't be so fast. You have patience, you have the process to be slowed down. That is the trick. It says, don't react but act. Act involves freedom, act involves intelligence. You have to work with that intelligence, you have to use that freedom and start sublimating. So this is the art of sublimation, and the art of sublimation involves slowing down at the first step. So from here we go to the next step, that is the mastering the emotions, and that is called the Bhakti Yoga. The growth towards Bhakti involves dealing with our emotions, the desires which are featured by likes and dislikes, and give and take. This is the grossest form of our desires. In Bhakti Yoga, we start tracking down our emotions, trying to understand how the emotions come up, how they spread throughout the body, and what is the grossest form of emotions. Normally, the emotions, the feelings start as the gross friendship. We become friends, and we become friends on some common likes or some common dislikes. I also like gulab jamun and you also like gulab jamun, we become good friends. I like masala dosa, you also like masala dosa, we become good friends. Carnatic music could be the common interest between the two to make us friends. But then sometimes we become friends on common dislikes. I don't like him and you also don't like him, and we become good friends. I remember once we were traveling to Delhi, and in our compartment there was a person who went on criticizing the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and one after another everybody was keeping quiet. But then yet another person came from the next compartment, he was walking across. As soon as he heard the criticism on Indira Gandhi, he also sat there and started adding fuel to fire, and the conversation went on, and the whole of that journey they started criticizing in all fronts. They become such chums, such friends, friendship on common dislikes. And this is the grossest form of love, the grossest form of our friendship. And there is always a sense of give and take at this level. I give you a party today. I know you like masala dosa, I also like masala dosa. Let us go and have a masala dosa party. I will pay for that. But next time, I expect that you are going to take care of me. You are going to pay the bills next time. And maybe after 3 days, maybe 5 days, 1 week, take your time, doesn't matter. But next time is your share. If this doesn't happen, then our friendship goes. There is always expectation of a return. This is at the Nyaya level or the Rajasic level. This is the grossest form of love called Kama. This is called the general friendship. But from there, we have to rise higher to the next level of friendship. And as the proverb goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed, as it is said. And that is called Prema. Prema is Kama plus Tyaga. Prema has the dimension of Tyaga, the dimension of sacrifice to be added on to the level of gross friendship. What is the sacrifice? Mother's love for the child. She doesn't expect anything in return from the child. She goes on pouring her heart, does everything that is needed for the child's growth. She gives material possessions. She gives the comforting touch. She gives nice clothes, take care of the food of the child, and what is necessary for the growth of the child, everything she takes care with meticulous care and no expectation of return. Whether this boy, when he grows up, whether he is going to help me or not, whether he is going to take care of me in the old age or not, is of not concern at all. It is giving and giving and giving, no expectation of return. And this is the real friendship. This is called Prema in the terminology of Bhakti Yoga or the Yoga dimension. So, in Prema, you go on giving and giving and giving and expect nothing in return. Whereas at the Kama level, you give and expect something in return. And there is always a sense of give and take. This is elevating ourselves from the gross carnal desires towards the real friendship called the Prema. And this Prema is featured by sacrifice, giving, dana and this thing. And this comes to the level of Sattva, and this is featured as ethical and moral dimensions. This is called as the Dharma, and in all religious tenets, whether the 10 commandments of Christ or the 10 commandments of Manu or the 10 Yama and Niyama that the Patanjali provides us as foundation to yoga, everywhere these three aspects are inherently present. The Prema Bhava is the one that is invoked here. Prema Bhava involves the Sukha of your partner. Tat Sukha Sukhitvam. You always look at the happiness of your partner, your friend, and you don't care for yourself. Whether it is controlling your senses, whether it is denying yourselves of certain possessions and comforts, you care not for that. You want that your baby should be very happy. You want that your friend should be immensely happy in the encounter, and you want your spouse to be very happy. And in his happiness or in its happiness or in her happiness, I get all the happiness. Tat Sukha Sukhitvam, as Narada defines. Narada in his Bhakti Sutras says that what is that real prema, what is that real growth in our feelings, that without expecting anything in return, you go on giving and giving. You pour your heart, you give all your material possessions, and that is the dimension of Tyaga involved. Therefore, the formula is that Prema equals Kama plus Tyaga. That is, Prema is the real friendship, is Kama the normal friendship, plus add on to that the Tyaga, the sacrifice. And from here Now we have go to the next level, from prema to the level of bhakti. And what is that dimension of bhakti, we will see in the next session. Thank you.